It's recording. Hello,
Okay,
Roger.
good.
Hello again.
Oh, this is great. Yeah.
So good to see you.
Yeah.
So
Let me see. Now this will be our video number 6.
really,
And that
I'm
kind of blows that kind of
excited.
blows the mind, yes.
I'm
Um,
so excited.
but our last one was in July last year. Don't remember the exact date, but it's been a
Wow,
little bit more than a year now.
it's crazy. I was still in Alexandria, Egypt then.
Right.
Wow. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Wow.
You've
Such,
been you've been you've been traveling, you've been moving.
yes. It's crazy how I always thought that life was more than one life within one life. But now it's like 1 year is like 10 years inside 1 year. It's so many, I guess, events, so many experiences within 12 months.
Yeah.
Certainly faster and faster. But so good to see you. So good to see you. I'm excited
Yeah.
about this video. Whatever comes through is going to be amazing. You're always an inspiration. And as we are, I guess, catching up to time on planet Earth, we are more and more people are now becoming aware. I think when we began speaking, it was still a
Mhm.
bit like, oh, you, shall we say, shall we share? And so
Yeah.
much, so much more awareness on the
Mm.
planet. So it would be wonderful. I know that you run, for the ones that haven't met you, you write a blog called Out and About, and you
Yes.
have been very busy sharing that now on Facebook. Do you have another platform that you share?
Well, mainly Facebook. And then, of course, it's also on my website. I
Okay.
have um, my website started out for my music. And then a number of years ago, after working with Mike, doing the energy work collaboration that I have with Michael Perfetto, a very strong message came to me about collecting the little summaries that I'd been jotting down about our experiences, and then of course dreams and energy work that I was having myself, and to put these into blogs and get them out. So I created a separate page on my website that's rogeraldridge.com. The page, as you said, is called Out and About, referring to, journeys out and about, as they say. Um, so,
Wonderful.
so yeah, and each blog is a collection of 1 year's worth of experiences, and now I'm working on number 8.
Amazing. Amazing.
So it's been,
Thank you.
yeah.
Foremost, thank you for sharing those. Thank you for having
Mm.
recorded those experiences because I
Mhm.
feel people are becoming, as I said, more aware, more available to themselves, to the possibility that they are indeed interstellar souls and memories coming to them maybe in dreams, and they're like, what was that? And they pretend that it didn't happen. And I feel that the more that they are able to, for example, read your amazing blog, it will be an inspiration to others to, yeah, what is the word? Reconnect to themselves, to their true nature.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I will
exactly
add
right.
I will add your details below on this video.
Okay, okay, good. Um, yeah, what you just said is so important because, as we've discussed in several of our blogs, that, I don't think of my teacher, I'm sorry, I don't think of myself as being a teacher in the sense of giving, you know, uh, particular methods for people to make those discoveries in myself. I'm simply sharing the experiences that Michael Perfetto and I are having. And, again, as we've discussed, this is, one way, one particular way of doing it. And there's many ways. But there's been so many messages in various ways that have come to me that um, the key to opening the door, to our higher understanding and extended connections with life beyond Earth is tapping into who we are. Because as you said so well, uh, we are interstellar beings. We are source energy beings. We're immortal energy beings that are currently having this human incarnation. But there is so much more to us. And as I began to tap into these higher parts of myself, then it's like, oh my gosh, door after door after door opened up. And, um, I began to understand that, yes, there's a lot more to me, than what I see looking in the mirror. And that, I think, is the key for everyone else, however they do it, just to discover, that there's, deeper and deeper and deeper levels of themselves. And they are not simply residents of Earth, as I like to say, there's a lot more to them.
That is wonderful, and thank you for the languaging of interstellar, because that was so much of, I think, what you brought the very first video that we came together. The phrase, if I remember, was "Our future is interstellar."
Yeah, that's pretty close. Several messages have come to me with words similar to that. One of them, as I remember, was humanity's future is being an interstellar people.
That's it. That's it.
Mhm.
And I'm feeling glimpses of that. I'm feeling, as you know, I hold, I don't know what the word is. I curate groups of extraordinary beings that come together, and we do maybe similar to what you do with your amazing friend Michael
Mhm.
Perfetto. I know that you're doing it through also the energy of medical qigong. So
Mhm.
you're focusing the energy also on the organs and the physicality, right? As you're doing that, we are mostly in focus, but kind of like, I guess, in the movie over here, experiencing and listening and perceiving information moving, arriving, and then somehow we translate that in the groups. And now I've forgotten what I was going to say. But along the lines that we're all changing, like we are experiencing ourselves changing. We are
Yes.
experiencing ourselves understanding a little bit more, getting a little bit closer to that. As you said, there's more to ourselves, and trusting that. That's also the important part, is trusting the messages that come in, as wacky as they may be, and following through. I mean, I have beautiful people in the group that are creating amazing, I guess, advanced technology for consciousness, and
Mm.
yes, some kind of vibrationary technology. And it's all coming through these focus times. So so important, so important. So please share more, whatever you feel is important to share right now. We're here ready to
Well,
listen
one
to you.
one thing I did a few days ago, I just went through my blog number 7, starting from when our last video was done, in July. And then my blog number 8, which is the experiences so far this year. And so I got a couple pages of kind of new
Thank
things,
you.
but I didn't want to go through all of this. But one of the I think one of the most important things is that let's see, you were asking me about the platform, that my blogs are on. At some point, it was either last year or maybe earlier this year, it occurred to me to create a separate Facebook page. So I did that and did a copy and paste of every single blog entry, from the past 7.5 years. And it was over 300 entries. So I loaded all of those onto that page. And I wish that Facebook would have a way that someone could modify the sort order rather than being, current to past. If, in having my blog entries, if they were wanting to look at the earlier ones, they would have to scroll down, through a lot of entries. But I guess simply for the purpose of documentation, I'm thinking, well, at least the entries are in a separate separate platform than my blogs, on my website. But, I would really encourage people to go to my website, and, then they have, like an easy way to see each blog. So that was one thing, that I did that was new. And another thing that is new is that, more more connecting experiences have been happening with Robert Monroe. And, I think we've talked about this in one or more of our blogs, but he was very important in establishing the Monroe Institute.
Yes.
In the mid 70s, and doing very deep consciousness research with sound technology. And it was Michael that introduced me to Robert Monroe after I told Michael about various kinds of dreams that I was having about traveling or flying. And in reading the first Monroe book that I got, it was called Ultimate Journey. Very quickly, I discovered that he considered these kinds of dreams to be out-of-body experiences. So one thing led to another. And then Michael and I discovered that Robert was showing up in some of our sessions, our medical Qigong sessions. Like, I remember an early one, I guess it was around maybe 2018, that Michael was working on my heart, and 2 images came to him. One was a starcraft, and then the other was Robert Monroe. And that was curious to me because, as I've described before, I've not received any training at the Monroe Institute, yet it's clear that there is this connection. So kind of fast forward to literally just a few months ago, I felt Robert's presence, and an idea came to me to collect all of the blog entries that mention him and or Rosie McKnight. And Rosie was one of the early people that Robert worked with in the consciousness research. And she had remarkable out-of-body experiences, and working with her team of star being helpers and going way out, being on starcrafts and, other dimensions, other planets, that kind of thing. So feeling Robert's presence, this idea came to me to go through my blogs and collect the entries that mention them and put this in a separate document. And so I did that, and I called it Encounters with Robert Monroe and Rosie McKnight. And I put that in I put that link then on my website. So, for those that go to my Out and About page, you'll first see a little description about what the blogs are about. You'll see right now the 8 links, or the 9 links rather, for my blogs. There'll be some pictures of Michael and myself, Michael doing medical Qigong work on me. And then you'll see a section called Encounters or Collections, something like, Collections, I'm sorry. So this is the first one that I did. So in gathering up all of the blog entries that mention them, it was quite a bit. And in going through them again, there's just such a feeling that our work is so similar, that what Michael and I are doing is so similar to what Bob and Rosie did. Of course, Bob with the sound technology, Michael with the medical Qigong. But then it gets maybe even more similar with the experiences that Rosie had with her team of star beings and the experiences that I'm having with my team of star beings. But it went even beyond that. Michael and I began to sense that they are collaborating with us. They're in very close touch, with what we're doing. And the idea that came to me to put this collection of the experiences together, I have no doubt that this was like a direct consciousness connection with Bob. And that idea, he was tapping me on the shoulder saying, please do this. And then it gets even more fun, because along with that, there was an understanding that I needed to reach out to more people at the Monroe Institute, share this document with them and say, hey, these experiences are happening with Bob and Rosie. And so that's been something that I've been working on for the last couple of months, is just to reach out to people that I see having some involvement with the Monroe Institute. I find them on Facebook. And it's been several people. And there's 2 of them that I'd like to mention because they just struck me as being deeply wonderful. One of the first ones that really connected with me about this, his name is Paul Elder. And he's been a resident trainer at the Institute for a very long time. And so he read the document, and he really connected with it. And what he wrote back told me a couple of things. He said, first of all, after Bob and Rosie passed on, Bob left the physical dimension in 1995 and Rosie in 2010. And he said after both of them had passed on, that he was feeling similar connections and communications and sense of presence with them. And then the other thing was really cool. He described how he was a personal friend of both of them. And so he told me about some of his experiences with Bob and experiences with Rosie. And he had gone to her house. He described it as being out in the country, and it was full of cats and dogs. It's exactly as how she described her house in her 2 books. So I just felt a wonderful connection then with Paul. And then the second one just literally happened a few days ago. A man, Brian Daly, if I'm pronouncing his last name right, I think it's Dailey. I guess I'd pronounce that Daly. But he's also been involved for some amount of time at the Monroe Institute. But one of the really interesting things about him, and we talked on the phone, we decided to call one another up because we felt such a connection with our backgrounds and what we're doing. So, we talked about 40 minutes on the phone. And what I discovered about him is that he's a medical doctor. And he also does energy medicine training at the Monroe Institute. And I thought, now this is really interesting because that's very similar to what Michael and I are doing with our energy work. And he also does that in collaboration with another person. So I thought, well, there's another similarity. So I asked him, being a medical doctor, how did he get into the energy work part of this? And he described it was through his mother, that she was a nurse, but she had an ability of doing energy healing.
Mm.
And it was my impression that maybe she wasn't really trained. She just, unless I'm mistaken, she just kind of developed this. It just, like a flower opening with her. And he described it as, what would now be called therapeutic touch. And he experienced a lot of healing work from his mom. Like if he would go out on his bicycle or something and get a scrape on his leg or something, she would, help him with that. And then he said, and I'm not exactly clear where, like when this happened in his medical work. I don't think it would have been in medical school. It might have been in residency, but I'm not clear about this. But he told me that sometimes he would see patients, and I wish I could explain it the way he explained it to me, but I don't remember the medical terminology. But he talked about a scale, like a numeric scale, and whatever this problem was, their blood work or their reading was so low on the scale, he said that they were just very close to death. So he began to do energy work on them. And like with this one person he was describing, it went from close to zero to, it was a little bit higher on the scale, like maybe up to 3. Then the next day it was a little higher up, like maybe to 5 or 6. And then continuing the energy work, they had a complete turnaround with their health.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it was a real joy to, connect with both of them and, have them learn about the experiences that Michael and I have been having with Bob and Rosie and how we feel this connection, this living connection with them. And and excuse me, in one of our sessions this year, an image came to me of Bob. But in some of our sessions in the past, there would just be like an image of him. But over time, they evolved. So in the session that I'm thinking of now, there was, like an image of him, but it went further. What I then saw was a glimpse of the higher level work that he's doing now from the higher planes with his team to help humanity evolve, evolve into higher consciousness. So I really like that. Um,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. I just wanted to recap for the audience because maybe whoever listens to this don't have a full vision of what Robert Monroe set out to do. And if I'm correct, because I did read his books and I do listen, because now they're releasing the tapes, and I think once a week on a Thursday they release the tapes, the original tapes of their what's it called? I don't remember. It's a number.
Explore, the Explorer sessions. You mean the Monroe Institute doing this?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think it would be called the Explorer sessions.
Explorers. Okay.
Yeah.
So um he was assisting people, and some people became very good at this to tap
Mhm.
into consciousness and eventually also helpers and guides and assistants that were interstellar themselves.
Yes.
So this is so much of what you're saying now, right? Is that
Yes.
your synchronicity with the people that you met, this Mr. Elder and Mr. Daly,
Daily. Yeah.
um, and your connection, which is, beyond time space to Bob Monroe and Rose McKnight,
Yes.
still it still moves through no matter how long they're not on the planet anymore. So this
Right.
is very important to speak about because absolutely I feel the multidimensionality of our being. We are here for this time, but yes, the multidimensional self continues. I believe it continues the work, and it was before it's incarnated, and it continues on. So thank you for sharing that. So, yeah, please continue.
Yeah. Well, after putting that document together, again, I felt a very strong leading to continue. Um, and the second document that I did, or the second encounters collection, that I'll call it, um, I decided to gather up all the experiences that Michael and I are having with the Electrostar system and the Pleiades. And the document with Bob and Rosie, I don't know how many pages that would be, but the one with the Pleiades was significantly longer. I mean, it had a lot of entries. Um, and oh boy, this goes into just all kinds of experiences that we're having with ourselves as multidimensional beings, because, as you know, I feel this very deep connection with the Electra system and planet Kazanan within the Pleiades, but I feel connections with other systems as well. Um, Talks about experiences that I have in the Golden Pyramid on Kazanan. Um, Boy, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Then after that, as a sequel, it occurred to me to then collect all the blog entries about Arcturus and Alnilam.
Yes,
Um,
I'm very interested in those.
yes, well, you can go to my website and
Yes, I very
because
much resonate with Al-Nilam. I feel my soul has a tie somehow to Al.
yes,
So I love all of those entries, but all of your writings are
yeah,
amazing in the experiences that you share.
yeah. You were the one that first told me about Alnilam and a connection
Oh,
I had with it, and then it began to show up in our, in the sessions with Michael. Um, Trying to remember, would have been in 2022, I think. Yeah, 2022. And one of our sessions, this would be an out and about 6. Um, Michael first saw a star being, and he just described him as having darker skin. And he was helping us in the energy work. And then maybe a couple months after that, there was another appearance, and Michael described him as smiling. And the being said to him, he's finding it. And, we knew that that meant me. And just recently, there was another appearance. Oh, in fact, in our last session this past Friday, Michael saw him again. And this was really pretty cool and funny. I've noticed that some of our experiences with star beings, they can come to us in different appearances. And my primary guide, that I've described before in our videos, is a female reptoid being that's just incredible. I mean, words fail me, and what an incredible being she is. But she's come to Michael with several different appearances. And I think there's probably a message behind this, but it's also because she has a really great sense of humor. And I remember one time she appeared to Michael, he thought kind of in her 50s. And he described her as having silver hair and very vibrant energies. And then there was another time that she came to him with darker skin, and I don't remember the other features that Michael described, but she's come to him in different ways. So the star being from Omniland, he appeared to Michael Friday as, again, having darker skin. But this time he was wearing a suit and he had a musical instrument. And as Michael described this, I immediately thought of pictures, like album covers of Miles Davis in the early 60s. Back then he would wear tailored Italian suits. And of course, he would have his trumpet. So I just immediately thought of Miles Davis. But when Michael was describing this to me, I thought, well, for me, this is really expressing a connection between music and energy work. The symbolism was pretty obvious to me. But it was kind of interesting because on Friday during our session, Michael and I were talking before the energy work, and Michael was also a composer, and we went to the same music school, the Berklee College of Music in Boston. And both of us had kind of a similar experience there. Like I was describing to Michael how sometimes in the ensembles I was playing in, like I would be sitting between fellow saxophonists that were just so far beyond me. For anyone who knows about jazz, maybe the name Ernie Watts, he's an incredible saxophonist. And so he was at Berklee. And so here I am sitting next to Ernie Watts, and I'm going, oh my God. Oh, and there were other things that it was just like feeling, like what am I doing here? And Michael said he felt exactly the same way. that he'd be sitting next to someone that he felt was so far beyond him in like music abilities. But in hindsight, I can see the particular interest that was so important to me for such a long time uh, would be like the orchestration aspect of composition. That is, of picking what particular instruments to use and how to use them, and what part of their range, a given passage might be used, and how to combine instruments in various kinds of ways. And I've always been interested in coming up with creative and kind of unorthodox combinations of instruments. And as I was describing this to Michael, I said, well, this is really kind of like tuning into frequencies, like different kinds of frequencies, um, like different star systems having different energy signatures. So when I thought of it this way, I thought that this is exactly the path that I needed to take. I wasn't intended to become a saxophone jazz star. I was really intended to take this energetic path, and music for me has been the foundation. And Michael felt exactly the same thing. And it was when he was in Boston that he began to be exposed to acupuncture. So for me, the image of the Only being looking like Miles Davis, was just a continuation or a confirmation, I think, of the conversation that Michael and I had earlier.
Amazing. So are you saying that potentially as you were able to, obviously you knew the instrument and how you could create a composition with different sounds from different instruments to create, I guess, a piece of music, that
Yes.
likewise you sense the frequency of the different star systems, or the different, maybe even a particular star, and so you recognize that just as you recognize the sounds of instruments, and maybe the collaboration that you create with them is also based on music.
Yeah. I just use the star system, as just as an example. But um, I think in my very first blog, in 2017, after Michael and I had started working together, um, yeah, I was in the midst of doing a moving Qigong practice, and the realization came to me that the music background of hearing tone color combinations of instruments in my mind. No, I mean, this is everything I'm describing is internal. It's not external sound. It's internal. That having that training, having that knack, if you will, for being able to do that, that kind of provided me with the ability to then internally hear energy frequencies,
Mm.
how I could hear, again, internally hear a frequency in my mind. I could focus my mind on that frequency. And then importantly, I would feel my energy field respond to it. So again, this is not about hearing external frequencies or hearing particular frequencies of sound. It's completely internal. Yeah.
So can I say that that is, so you know the tone, or the attunement, and you just go to that precise frequency. But it also feels you are saying that you are able to tune in to particular frequencies that are also outside of you, although it is internal that you experience them. You're also, it's kind of like you have this ability to sense them and then align to them. Am I
Yeah,
saying?
I think that's I think that's a good description.
Because that's amazing.
Well, yeah, like when I'm out in nature is an example, and I'm feeling energy fields from trees. I don't, I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing a sound from the trees, but I feel their uh, particular quality of energy,
Mm.
and then I connect with that internally. But then it's also an external connection too.
And it's instant.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I don't have to work at it. It's just kind
Yeah.
of like just relaxing my mind, just like every experience that Michael and I have in our sessions. It's just all instantaneous. We're not having to work at any of that happening.
So for the people listening, because I'm sure there is a lot more people coming to listen to all of your intelligence, your information that you're bringing. And if they don't have somebody to collaborate with, like Michael Perfecto, or they're just new to this, um, usually when I work, I don't work. I am there. I'm present with this amazing people, and we literally go into a quiet space inside of us and we listen. And we've been doing this every day for a very long time at the precise time.
Mhm.
And I think we trained ourselves, we trained our system to very, very finely, very easily come out of the busy, although the mind and the thoughts are there. But it's kind of like, yes, a level of frequency that's easy to access. I think it is true. It's helpful to have someone else that is doing that with you. So I think what I'm trying to say, is there a way that you could say that somebody listening to this that wants to experience themselves being in tune with all of life? What would you say would be a good beginner's point?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a hard one because everybody's circumstance is individually theirs. What I would
But I think
suggest is
nature, right?
yeah, going out in nature. That's always very good. Um, but I'll take that a step further and just say have complete trust in yourself
Mm,
that everything we're experiencing is part of our life path, is part of the contract or script, whatever you would want to call it, um, that we develop for ourselves along with our guides and others before we came into this physical earth life. So there will be a way
mm,
to, you know, open yourself up to realize more of who we are. Um, if that's part of your work in this life, then it will happen for you. Everybody has their own lessons for what to experience here. Um, but I'm also thinking that from everything I can sense, within a relatively short time, maybe another couple years or three, um, there will be public knowledge of life beyond Earth. Intelligent, advanced civilizations beyond Earth, and so this will be more commonplace knowledge. and that will help. But, in the meantime, we can just tap into those parts of ourselves. Um, yeah, because, as I've been saying, I'm not teaching techniques for how people can do that, but I'm just sharing these experiences and saying, well, hey, these experiences are happening, these realities are true. Um, and, of course, not everyone is going to accept that. There are very strong belief systems, in Earth. But as they're able, people more people will, they'll tap into those parts of themselves, and so like it does start internally with each of us. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, in one of our early videos, I remember you talking about how you thought it was important to, for people to find others.
I still speak
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, well, good for you, because yeah, that is important. It's like, there's a little bit of a double-edged sword here because uh, in deep reality, every single being on Earth is part of ourself, as being a collective. So when we talk about finding others, it's not in a spirit of exclusion or us versus them. Rather, it's a matter of frequency, of like finding the frequency match between where we are and, where we're just starting to get into with then people that have like a similar frequency match that, we can meet and talk and, more doors opening.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, right here, right now, our connection, I feel is ancient and it goes deep and we haven't spoken for a year and we do have this ease between us because the frequency is just, yeah, easy.
Yeah.
So absolutely, it does. I wish there were words, but the sense of love, this, which is not love, the sense of higher, higher depths of love, it's so um nurturing when we meet another, that is of that same frequency and we are, sparking those ideas and those stories and it's just growing and I mean, for me, I feel very lucky that I am constant uh, speaking to amazing, amazing souls. And sometimes, I'm having a really kind of day, and then after a conversation with someone, everything is fine, and I
Yeah.
will find a solution, and
Mhm.
that is. That yeah, it's not about, having to have somebody solve our problems, but it does bring us back to our center, to our own frequency and to our own knowing of what we are, yeah, what we're here to do, what even of what we're capable of. I think we damp damp ourselves down because we are powerful. And for some reason, a lot of us don't come out, with all of ourselves. Or I guess I could say all of our truth. And here you are having this, you're a perfect example of sharing your inner journeys and your deep knowings with the world through your through your entries, through your blog, through this conversation and all of the other things that you do. And if we didn't, then this moment wouldn't be happening. And I mean, maybe something amazing is gonna happen from this moment on because we share this, it's like, yeah, it feels good. This moment feels good. I know that we're all having, ups and downs in our lives and difficulties on planet Earth, but there's also such an excitement. It's kind of like palpable now. It's here of yeah, something different as you are heralding the news that the potential is here for very soon as being able to be more in telepathic communication, understanding telepathy and yes, navigating time, beyond time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
We've been talking about music, and I wanted to mention that after I did those three encounters collections with Bob and Rosie, and then Electra and the Pleiades, and then Arcturus and Onilam, the next leading I had was to do it about music. So again, I went through all of my blogs and selected the ones that had something to do with music in either both a conventional or an expanded way. And that one has quite a few entries as well. Couple things I might mention. Some of the entries are about experiences with music teachers or music friends that have passed on. And it was exactly the same as connections that I feel with Robert Monroe. But several of my teachers at Berkeley that were so important to me, I
Mm,
had higher level connections and experiences with them. Several musicians that I've admired greatly that have been such an inspiration to me. I had connections with them. Like in one case, working on a music project together in the higher planes.
mm,
Uh, but we also experienced music in more of an expansive way. And the way that I describe it is music being an expression of light, sound, and vibration. So some of the experiences that I've had, like with light, feeling like connections to the planets in the Star Nations community, seeing it as like a web of shimmering light.
mm,
Um, I experienced that in kind of a musical way too. Um, yeah, so that was the fourth collection, and then just literally like a week or two ago, I felt a leading to do yet another one. And this is about Star Nations technology.
huh?
And yep, see, no, that was the reaction that I was hoping for. I thought, like in
Yay.
writing this, I said, oh, yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of people that would really like to read this. So I'm really happy that you had that reaction to it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
There's a link to it on my
Okay. I
site.
will I will look for it.
Yeah. It's fairly new, but it talks about experiences, out of body experiences in dreams of being on starcrafts, of seeing different kinds of technologies. Michael seeing technologies. In fact, here's one of the things that I wrote down because this just happened recently, and it ties in with both Star Nation's technology and also Rosie McKnight.
Okay.
And what had happened is that in this session, um, Michael had a vision of what he described as a dome. And the dome had three streams of energies going up to the top. And the energy streams consisted in small triangles forming, like forming this energy stream. And as he told me about it, he said, this is consciousness technology. And then after he told me about this, I said, hey, I had a vision of a circle that was divided into thirds, and how it looked like these energies went out from the circle to three smaller circles that were outside the large circle. And Michael said, hey, you're seeing the same thing. I saw it from the side, and then you talking to me, saw it from the top. And as we were talking, that was pretty cool, by the way. How we had different perspectives of the same thing. This kind of thing has happened to us a lot. We'll have different visions that fit together. So I had this sense, as we were talking about it, I had this sense that there was a higher level part of me that knew about this. And might have been later in the day, or maybe a day or two later, I remembered a dream that I had in 2022 of being shown technology that uses a light for healing. And so I looked up that entry, and I put it as a footnote, in my blog, about the dome. And then I remembered a passage from Rosie McKnight's book, and this would be her Cosmic Journeys book. And in this section, she's talking about having, being in the lab setting with Bob, and then through the hemisync, like raising her vibration up to what the Monroe Institute calls Focus 12, which is beyond the dense physical. And then her team of guides took her further up onto a starcraft. And there she was, she had several experiences on the starcraft with this particular being. So he showed her this technology that I'm trying to think how she described it, as how it was a beam that kind of took in your entire being. It could read all of your, it would read your energy fields, it would read your memories. It could go so deep into the physical that it could detect any illness. It could, go down to the cell level. And it was just extraordinary. And then she said that the technology would help to create conditions for healing. And so when I found that, I sent an email right away to Michael, with that passage. And then he wrote back and said, it's really interesting that you connected with Rosie and with her description. And Michael said, this is exactly how I saw it, as a technology that would not only read energy fields, but then also create movement. So yeah, that was just one example of the Star Nations technology that's in that particular document.
Amazing. Fascinating. Is there
Yeah,
anything that you want to share? Because we could stop this video because it's about an hour long and then
yeah.
record something else and set it out as another video.
Well, let me just mention real. Yeah, I've gone through a lot of the stuff that I'd written down. Um, here's something that could be a last thought for this. Um, at the beginning of the video, you were talking about the energy work that Michael and I do with medical qigong. As being like the physicality, and that's true, but there's more to it. And let me read this one thing that I'd written down. And I think this is actually how Michael described it. And then my intuition kind of took it from here. But here's what I wrote. Our organs are physical manifestations of particular energies. The human body then, the human body then is a physical manifestation of ourselves as energy beings. And then when I had that realization, I then saw myself in a non-physical way. I saw myself as an energy being. I saw the energy meridians. I saw the energy centers. Um, all in my energy field or my energy body. Um, I saw myself that way instead of being in my physical body here. And so that was really an extraordinary experience.
Hmm.
But yeah, like Michael's told me for a number of years that, like, when he talks about working on one of the major organs, like the lungs, the heart, um, let's see, the spleen, the kidneys. Anyway, there's the five major organ systems in traditional Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
So when he's working on one, it's not exactly the physical organ, rather it's the energy system, if you will, that represents that organ.
Yes.
I hope that helps to
Yes.
clarify that, because that can be a little tricky.
Yes. Thank you. No, I did study that too. I know, and I know how they, with the wheel, how they support each other, which
Yeah,
again is kind of like a micro and a macro, like the physical body is not a single system. It's many systems working together for life. And then we coming together create systems for life, hopefully. Um, yeah, and then we have solar systems and other planetary systems. We're all collaborating. It's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Thank you.
exactly right. Exactly right.
Thank you. Yeah. Um, well, I would love to talk for you for hours. I just don't know if making it too much longer is a good idea, but we have plenty of time. As I said, we could do another recording, or if there's anything else to share, I'd love to include that too. So
Okay, I think this is a good stopping point, and
Okay.
Let's just see if we want to continue on with another
Yeah.
video or just do another one sooner.
Okay. I like that idea very much. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you so much.
Okay.
It's always so fascinating and inspiring to listen to you and to just hear it from you because there is also a magic that you are sharing that reading is powerful, but also to hear it, through your voice, through your frequency,
Mm.
because yeah, we're receiving information even if you're not saying it. So thank you.
Yeah, that helps. Anyway, thank you. It's always a joy. And, thank you to anyone and everyone watching the video.
Yes, I will add all your information below this video. And yes, looking forward to reading this new chapter that you are compiling now about the technology.
Yeah, it's there. It's linked on my page.
I will do that. Much,
Okay.
much love, my dear. Thank you so much for
Yes.
the time together and see you next time.
Okay. Till next time. See you. Bye.
Much love. Bye bye.